Jade Gibson has a knack for creating infectious country pop tunes, and she has performed them in all sorts of places, from festival stages to pubs. Next year, she'll be on stage at CMC Rocks, and no doubt her latest single, Perfect Crime, would be on the set list. And before we get into the interview, I'm going to apologize for the way my voice sounds. I have a cold. The great thing is, Jade will be doing most of the talking. Hello, Jade.
Sophie, and lucky I am a chatterbox notoriously. So it does talk about the cold though.
It's look, colds are just people say it's just a cold. I'm like, colds are pretty vile. And I'm very glad I'm not a professional singer, because every time I hear of an artist getting a cold, I think if you have gigs and you have, in fact, there's a question I wasn't planning to ask you, but have you had to perform through a cold? And if so, how? Because it can really affect your voice.
Oh, for sure. I am really bad at saying no to things. I reckon I cancelled my third gig ever a couple of, like about a month ago. When I got home from being overseas, I got really, really sick. And I tried everything all week to get my voice back. And I woke up the day of and I couldn't even speak. But I definitely have some gigs that I shouldn't have done when I was sick. And that's sometimes you do have to learn things the hard way. And I do unfortunately now have vocal nodules.
Oh, okay.
Living with them for a long time, not to get so deep so quickly, but yeah, like I wouldn't recommend it. And if your body says no, your body says no, and you need to take a break. So
Yeah, because but I can also understand the bind for musicians is that you, as you said, you woke up and didn't have a voice. You wouldn't know until the day necessarily.
I called her on the Wednesday and I said, I am really struggling, and I just want to let you know that I will be there in any capacity I can be, but just you're on notice. And she was like, okay, we would just love to have you any way you can come. And then the Friday morning, I rolled out of bed and I could barely even string a word together. And I just thought, I have to cancel. I was so sad. I just get such guilt. And as a musician, even from the realest of perspectives, like if we don't do a gig, we don't get paid, and that's our job. So that also sucks too.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we have gone there. We've gone to the cold, we've gone to the performance, and I'll come back to live performance, but I'm going to now ask you about Perfect Crime, your latest single, which was written with Ava Suppelsa, Austin Goodlow, and the song's producer, Ben Horsley. Were you all in a writer's room together?
We weren't. This is actually my first ever outside cut. So when we got it, I think Ben brought it to me. Oh, I'd like to say 18 months ago. This has been like a long journey. I've always loved the thought of having a song come to me somehow. I didn't go searching for it. I've written all of my songs to date have been song babies of mine. And Ben was like, hey, would you be open to an outside cut? And I was like, you know what? Put your ego aside, Jade. Like, if the great song comes to you, a great song comes to you. And I remember really vividly hearing someone once talk about Keith Urban's love of outside cuts. He makes sure he's got like 1 to 2 on every album because they are peddling the music industry. And if you are egotistical enough to think that you can write better than a Nashville writer. Well, like, I mean, obviously sometimes you can, but they're professional songwriters for a reason. So this song kind of appeared to me, and I was like, "Oh, I love this song. It's so smartly written." We did end up writing the whole bridge on it. It didn't have a bridge, and I was like, I love a bridge. I'm such a Swiftie in that way. So we took it and we said to them, hey guys, do you mind if we workshop this a little bit, change a few things around? And we did write a whole new section on it. And it just really fell into line awesomely. Like Ava and Austin are phenomenal songwriters. You know, they've had cuts with amazing people. I think Ava just posted that she had a cut with Carly Pierce the other day. And she did all the background vocals on the song. So it really did feel like a collaboration in the end. But yeah, it's just such a fun song and I couldn't say no.
So what is the perfect crime?
Oh, the perfect crime. It is just that horrendous situation that I think we've all had, especially modern dating. You are having a great time with someone, even a friend. Like it could be a friend, it could be a romantic partner. You're thinking everything's going so great. You're like, yes, we're vibing. And then next minute, they just disappear. And you're like, whoa, was what I was feeling fake? Like, how did you, and you pulled it off and you made it look as though you never did anything wrong. It's like almost criminal. I really do think it is. I just think these days people are cruel to each other, and the internet, it acts as a bit of a mask, and people think they can hide behind that. But it's crappy. Like, if you're going to just build a relationship with someone and then leave on them, like, that's horrendous. And it is definitely like an eye roll of a song. It's sort of been like, hey, you dipped out and you must have done it a few times before. You must be, oh, it's almost criminal the way you've gotten away with this. So yeah, it's just a very tongue-in-cheek eye roll at a bit of a crappy situation, which is, human relationships.
Because it wasn't until I was listening to this song that I thought, oh yeah, ghosting kind of is the perfect crime because it's not like there's a website where you can list people and say this person ghosts. Like there's really no recrimination for them.
100%. Oh, and you know what? Like, that all being said, people are like, oh, it's funny. She's released a song about dating. I have been with my partner for 7 years. He is the opposite of a ghost. He hangs off me like a leaf on a tree. I can't get rid of him. But I did have a friendship breakdown a couple of years ago, and it was devastating. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did wrong. I still don't know to this day. And we were getting along so great. She was my best friend. We used to speak every day, and she just dipped out on our relationship, and I don't know what ever happened. And it sucks. Like, and I see her from time to time again, and I'm just like, we're just like strangers.
Right.
I don't understand. And so I think that was really what struck a chord with me, is there was no explanation. It was just pulled off so sublimely. It was, it's manipulative because you're like, I don't know what I did wrong, and suppose I'm never going to get an answer. And yeah, I think that relationships, yeah, if you get away with ghosting, it should be illegal. That's what
Well, because the other part of it is you may not have done anything wrong. It's just that the other person's maybe like fabricated something for their own reasons, which feels cold and creepy anyway when you think of it that way. It's like, oh, you actually didn't see me as a person. You just saw me as an object.
100%, 100%. And I think in that way, we actually joke around, Ben and I, that we had about three different versions of Perfect Crime. We got about 80% done on two versions before we even settled on this one, because we didn't really know the tone we wanted to take with the song.
Right.
The way it came to us in a demo, it's quite similar to the way it was. It was actually even more bubbly. It was quite like country pop, and I didn't want to go that like cheeky and a flirty almost vibe. I was like, no, that's not right. And then we looked at doing a bit of like a West Coast, like Fleetwood Mackie thing, and it had this like creepy, and then that wasn't working either. And then we looked at maybe doing something a little bit more like rocky, a bit Carrie Underwood, that murder mystery type of thing. And I was like, no, it feels too serious again. And I think we ended up going with something that was summery and a bit jovial and a bit like, ugh, damn, a bit of a sigh, a bit of an eye roll, a bit of, well, what can you do, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the eye roll vibe works.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's fun.
Yeah. So you've worked with Ben Horsley as your producer for a few songs now. What was the first song you recorded with him?
First song we wrote and recorded was Technicolour. I met Ben a few years ago now on a Nashville trip. Must have been 2023. Oh my gosh, the years, they just like roll into one now. But we met, and I just straight away, we just got along on a musical level. And I was having a bit of a hard time with my identity at that stage, especially as an artist. I just felt like I was kind of doing what everyone else wanted from me, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled in that way. I was like, oh, I've had a bit of success, but it doesn't feel right. And he was like, well, like, you should be making music to fill your cup more than anything else. It shouldn't be to get a radio single or to please, such and such down the road. It's not about that. And I was like, you're right. You are right. Like, and that's all I've ever wanted to do, is just connect with myself and others through music. And he was like, well, if you ever want to work together, and I blew him off for about a year, but we stayed friends. I mean, honestly, props to Ben. He really stayed at it like a dog at a bone. He was like, I think you're great. I like your vibe. I really reckon we could like have some fun together. And then we started writing together in last year. And one of the first songs we wrote together was Technicolour. And it was one of the first times I've been very involved on a melody and music level. I'm often very lyrical. My songs will start with a poem or a general idea. I'm kind of the storytelling side of it. But, you know, we opened up a Zoom, and because Ben's from Queensland and I'm from Victoria, and we started building a song from literal scratch. Like, I didn't even have an idea. We started writing and it just kind of all fell into place. And I was like, whoa, this feels like making music. I know like it's on a computer, but it felt really organic. And we didn't put any boundaries on the music that was coming out. So it did have this really musical vibe about it. And it was a big risk for me. I was so scared putting Technicolour out. Like, I have just had really big sounding produced songs for a really long time. I recorded the vocals for Technicolour in this room under my like blanket. And oh, even to this day, I listen to parts of Technicolour and I hear my voice breaking, and I'm like, oh, I hate that. I hate that. And Ben's like, no, that's what's great. You know, that feels real. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And we're just kind of figuring out as we go, but we just have a lot of fun creating music together. And I just kind of thought, you know what? I've put so much money into this career and I'm only getting older. And I was seeing success, but it wasn't really like properly happening. And I just thought, if these are the last like few years I've got, like in the kitty to even create music, I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. And something is working. It's so funny. Like, it's the law of attraction, isn't it? The minute I said, duh, don't worry about all that. I'm just going to do my own thing and I'll figure it out. As you know, if people don't like it, they don't like it. And, you know, and now I'm in CMC Rocks and I got to Playback 40 this year and I got into Song Hubs and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I guess I'm still here. I guess I'll keep trying. Yeah.
Well, Technicolor does have this really lovely summery feel to it. And as we're coming into another summer, I know it was released last year, but hey, summer's about to start again. So I think people could put it on their summer playlist, but it does have this really lovely vibe to it. And you mentioned that you got into Song Hubs. Now, this was the Melbourne to Nashville Song Hubs, and at which you wrote the next single, Bygones. So I'm wondering what the Song Hubs structure was, and then how you came to write Bygones.
Sure. I mean, I've never been invited to do a Song Hubs before. So there is a really, really amazing organization called APRA AMCOS. They're the performing rights. Yeah, like I mean, we're getting into the weeds, but it's a really cool organization and they do support a lot of industry events. There's this really cool event called Song Hubs. It happens a few times a year for all different genres. And they advertise for, I've applied to a lot of Song Hubs. I've applied to everything. I have had that many no's. You know what the hardest thing is that they never tell you why you gotta know. They just tell you no, and you're like, okay. So anyway, I applied for this one, the Melbourne and Nashville Song Hubs with Lindsay Rhymes, which is insane because he is just a powerhouse of a musician and producer, an Aussie living out of Nashville. I applied and I thought, probably gonna get a no again, like, and I got in. It was crazy. People like Ella Hooper were in it, Jim Cassaday, like a really cool group of people. I was positively nervous as hell. I was going to just use a swear word then, but I didn't. So yeah, I packed my bag and I think it was 4 nights down near the Mornington Peninsula in Melbourne. And every day we all got put into a room and we would get split up into groups of 3. We'd have a producer and 2 artists in the room and they would give you 3 hours and you would write a song and you would do that twice a day. So in 3 days, you wrote 6 songs and it was genuinely one of the coolest weeks of my life. I learned so much about myself, so much about music. I think that was really a turning point in my going, you know what, it's time for me to make music and be creative, because I was still on the edge of, you know, wanting to work, like not wanting. I mean, I was like me and Ben were mates, and I was like, it'd be so cool to work together. But I think that was really the last, like, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back for me, being like, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I need to trust in myself that I am a musician who has taste, and I can be collaborative, and I can make music. But yeah, I wrote Bygones there with Josh Hannon and Oscar Dawson.
Mm.
I think it was our first write, which is really heavy for our first write of Song Hubs. But I'd written the first couple of lines to Bygones, I think in 2019. I remember being in Nashville and writing it, and I was not ready to face what that song was going to mean to me. I'm a child of divorce. My parents split when I was 2. My full sister was 0. Like, it's crazy. And then they went on and remarried when I was about 6 years old. And so they've both stayed remarried. They both had families, and they still hate each other. They just can't get along. And I've had all these conversations with them. There was big conversations had before I released a song, really hard conversations at that. But I have always been the one who kept it together, swept under the rug. No, I'm okay. It doesn't affect me. I'm fine. But I'm not fine. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick of acting like this doesn't affect me, and that it's affected me my whole life. And so I got in, and I think when I was leading up to Song Hubs, I was like, I need to bring my best. And unfortunately, sometimes that means bring the hard stuff.
Yeah.
And that is my hard thing. Like, some people have had really, grief is in different ways. It's relationship breakdowns or deaths. My family's divorce is my grief, and that is my hard thing to talk about. And I hadn't done that before. And I don't know, the minute, especially Josh and I have remained really amazing friends. He is just the most fantastic musician. Oh my God, his voice makes you melt. And as soon as I met him, I just felt comfortable with him straight away. Some people, it was the same with Ben. I just knew we got along on a musical level, and I could trust him. And I brought those lyrics to him, and we wrote Bygones. And I don't think that any song will mean as much to me as Bygones will ever. Not only from purely this what it has to say, but I'm so proud of that writing. I have always wanted to be that writer. And I find it really hard to get into that realm. But some of my favorite writers, I mean, Taylor Swift's folk albums like Folklore and Evermore, Bon Iver, Dermot Kennedy, just the imagery, just the darkness, and we really brought it. And that is a lot of a credit to Josh Hannon, but we really brought some, and I'm happy to say it, some amazing songwriting to that song. And I'm so proud of it. But yeah, it was hard to release, and it's even harder to fly such a sad song on radio. But I think it's something I had to do as a musician to really open myself up and crack myself open and be honest with my audience.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic song, actually. But I'm just interested in you saying that you find it hard to be that writer. And I'm wondering whether you might give yourself permission to be that writer because this song has gone so well.
I hope so. I really struggle still to tap into that zone, if I'm being honest. I think that I am a chronic people pleaser, and it is probably because of what went on in Bygones. And so I really do struggle to get that honest. I hope that with age and with a peace of mind of getting older and understanding that life isn't always sunshine and daisies, that I will be able to write more like that. It's just easier to write something that's easy, and that is the long and the short of it. But I have always been drawn to emotional singers. My favorite band's Fleetwood Mac. Like, I just love, my favorite musicians are ones that make you feel something. Maggie Rogers, Stevie Nicks, Taylor Swift, and even some of these male singers that I love, like Dermot Kennedy, they just make you feel something in just the saddest way. And I don't love being sad, but there is a part of me, obviously, that I leave for my creative side That is
Mhm.
sad. Yeah, I hope that I can write more like Bygones because I'm really, really proud of that song.
I do another podcast that's to do with books, and in it, I inadvertently started doing writer therapy. So, Jade, I'm probably about to give you some writer therapy, which is that I actually think in the way you deliver the line in the chorus about why can't you just let it be bygones? Because it's this really, the first couple of times I listened to the song, I thought you were talking to a sibling, and then I worked out you were talking to parents. And I actually think the way you deliver that, and as well as the way it's written, it is this. When you said you know about the thing being a people pleaser, I think that you don't deliver that in a people pleasing way. So maybe the key to getting into more of that dark stuff is in that one line. There you go. That's my writer therapy take on it.
I love that. I've really had to face myself in the last 18 months. Um, just as a pure example with Bygones, I had to show that to my parents and they didn't like it. And that was a really big moment for me. I've never been so direct. I've never been so blunt. Like it is a little cruel. Like some of the lines, and we actually changed a few because I felt like they were a bit too direct. But that's me growing, and that's me being like, you know what? I can't be perfect all the time, and you guys aren't perfect, and nobody's perfect, and life's a bit ugly. Like life is a bit ugly. Yes, but I really am having to pull. I've really been pulling an old skin off me in the
Mhm.
last 18 months as just a human, but it is really, really showing in my artistry, I think. By releasing songs like Technicolour and Bygones, I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Perfect Crime's probably the most in my comfort zone I've done since Technicolour. But I am excited to explore more. Like we've got a song that I've written, and we want to do a saxophone solo in it because I'm just obsessed with Sam Fender at the moment. And we're like, how does saxophone fit in country music? And Ben's like, it doesn't matter. It like what does it matter? Like, and it should be like that. But it's all, I do really feel myself really shedding some sort of skin at the moment, and figuring out who I really am. And I have always really been exactly who I am when you shut the door, and exactly the same person is who you see on stage. So that's been, yeah, I feel like it's been evolving behind closed doors, and you're seeing it in my artistry as well. So it's all reflective. It's a bit of a time capsule.
Well, I commend you for going through that process because it's easier not to, actually. As a human and as an artist, I think it's a lot easier just to go with what's familiar than to do the work and go through the fire.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
sure,
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But you do say in your Instagram bio, daydreaming and poetry. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that sometimes your songs start with poems. So I think, again, the clues are kind of in that, right? Daydreaming and poetry.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I only actually just updated that, so good get, Sophie. Yeah, I wanted to have a caption. I've always just kind of like had some emojis and like new song out, but I was like, what is like, who am I as a musician? Or like, what's a creative kind of like glimpse into who I am? And I'm just, my head's up in the clouds. Like, doesn't mean I'm always writing songs. I'm probably just thinking about anything. But yeah, I am a daydreamer, and all of my songs that I've written have started as poems. I believe Bygones started with we were just kids on the front line,
Yeah.
had to go quick, learn to dodge landmines. Are you ever going to let it go? Or have you never heard of Bygones? So yeah, pretty much all of my songs have started in a poem, except for Technicolour. Technicolour is a standalone little. I don't know. It's just a bit of a jam session, Technicolour. If you like music, if you like John Mayer, if you like Driving with the Windows Down, you'll probably like Technicolour. Yeah.
But also, just on the subject of daydreaming, the world's not really made for daydreamers. I think is part of the adjustment process because everything's kind of like forward propulsion, whereas daydreaming is more of a lateral experience.
For sure. I mean, I feel like, especially this year, I am getting dreadful. Like, I don't even try and contact me. I'm in the gut. I'm going. I'm really trying to rage against AI. I won't use it. I hope that that lasts a long time because I did rage against TikTok for a while and now TikTok's my Google. But I'm really trying not to use AI. I'm really trying to read more books, spend more time in nature, just think. Like,
Mhm.
I think even a year ago, I couldn't bear silence. I would put on a podcast, would have to have something going. I just couldn't bear to be with my own thoughts, because they can be scary at times. But that's also where you become creative, and just slow down because the world is just, it's grim. I mean, yeah, it's a scary world out there, but I do feel like I am actually leaning more into my whimsical side. As just my family are just like, God, Jade, like, we're here. I'm a gypsy mermaid fairy, I tell people, and just leave me there. I'm in an ignorant bliss.
I think it's totally fine to be all of those things, and also in terms of not rushing to fill the brain with things. Well, nature abhors a vacuum, as the saying goes. And I have found that if I'm prepared to let my brain be fallow even for like a few minutes, something will pop in. So it's having that boredom fragment of time, even that is useful.
We just don't even let ourselves be bored now. It's crazy. And I think about all the thoughts you could have had. Like, I don't know. But it is a scary thing, your brain sometimes, because it can go to the darkest thing. But I think it's a bit of brain training and a bit of resilience too. Being like, you know what? You're going to get through it and you may have a bad thought, but then a few thoughts later, you probably have a cool one
Yeah.
or a fun one or, I don't know, a useless one. But yeah, yeah.
Now you mentioned, well, I mentioned at the top, and then you talked about it in terms of things shifting for you. CMC Rocks next year,
Yeah.
so that's pretty exciting because that is obviously a very coveted festival to play at. Have you been as a punter to CMC?
Oh, yes. I have been to, I went a few years ago. Oh, I can't remember what, must have been about 2022 or 20, I reckon 2023 actually. I went with my mates. I went with Jake Davey and a few other of my musician friends, and I dreamed of it. I did. I remember that year. One of my other favorite whimsical female country music artists is Cam. And I watched her play and I just cried and I thought that's just the dream. And I don't know if it's gonna happen. Like, I don't feel as dogged as I used to be. I work really hard, but in my own way. And I don't love to hustle in a way that sometimes it feels like you need to in this industry. I love living in the country. I love going on holidays. I love drinking my coffee. Like, I am all about balance, and I thought I don't know if that's going to work with this. And yeah, I just dreamed of it. And then I was really lucky this year. I just randomly got a message. Like, this is what I was saying before. I'm so bad. CMC Rocks had emailed me, and it went into my spam because
Oh,
even of course my email didn't think that that was real. Offering me a slot on their new stage. They developed a new stage this year for up and coming talent. Which is so funny because I've been releasing music for like 9 years, and I get invited to the up and coming stage, and so I just get this like message from like Instagram message from CMC Rocks being like, "Hey Jade, can you like check your email?" And I was like, and yeah, and they invited me to do their back 40 stage, and um I just had a ball this year. Like, it was so cool. And we got to do the backstage thing, and I'm so dramatic. Like, I really am. I remember leaving CMC Rocks and being like, well, that's probably as good as it's gonna get, because I'm 27 and I've been around for a while, and I'm not really like producing music at, I'm not throwing it against the wall like I used to. And I prioritize my personal life a lot more these days. Um, and yeah, and then a couple of months later, I just get the email offering me a slot, and I was like, no, no way. So I'm just over the moon. I was just crying, and I thought, someone believes me. I don't know who. I do know one of my good friends in the industry is Casey Barnes. So shout out to Casey. because they did tell me this year that he was one of the reasons. And I haven't even met Casey that many times, but I remember, I think last year I was at a gig in my hometown that he was playing. He was like, just keep working hard and being a good person, and it'll happen for you. Like, I believe in you. And I was like, oh, Casey. And yeah, and then obviously, don't know, he must have been talking to someone who had some power at some stage, because yeah, I was told that he was a campaigner. You do need one person to believe in you. But I never, I didn't think it was going to happen. I truly did leave this year and thought, if that's as good as it gets, like, that's pretty awesome. I don't like, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't need any more than that. Like, to be honest, like, all I wanted out of music was to express myself, connect with people through my music, and play some cool stages. And I'm doing that. So I am living the dream. Like, it's really easy to get caught up in the goalposts moving all the time, but I really try and do that. Like, if Jade 10 years ago was seeing what you were doing, would she be proud of you? And I'm like, oh my God, she wouldn't even believe it. So yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah, and also 27, you have plenty of time, especially in country music. Like that's a genre where you can be any age, really.
This is true. This is true. I think I get a lot in my head being a female. I think I've had this terrible thing that I'm working in therapy at the moment, that I almost think that, like, when I have a family, it's like I'm going to die. I don't think I'm going to die. I'm definitely not going to, but I, I do think that that is an issue that lots of young females don't talk about. I want to be the best mother I can be when I'm a mother. And in a way, it's like I tell myself, okay, we've got to do everything before then. And that's some wild pressure to put on yourself. Because you couldn't drag me away from music. Like, it is my soul. Like, I can't ever remember wanting to be anything but a musician. That doesn't mean that I'll release music to the end of time, but I'm sure I will. Like, I'm sure I will always want to release music, and you won't be able to keep me away from a microphone. But I do have that fear. And so, yeah, I am working on that issue of myself. But yeah, that's something I do think about as well, is like, I'd like to have a little family soon, and I will have to naturally slow down, if not just for a little bit. So yeah.
Well, maybe have a chat to Fanny Lumsden,
Yeah.
because Fanny packed up her eldest child, Walter, when he was like a couple of weeks old, I think, and went and flew to Adelaide and did something. And she's just done a UK tour with both of the children and the band driving around. So I think she would absolutely say you can do both. It would require some organization, obviously. But yes.
No, she's an inspiration. I think Fanny's so awesome. I've had the pleasure, I haven't met her too many times, but I've had the pleasure of seeing her talk on a few panels, and she's just so smart and so strong, and like, yeah, she's an inspiration. She's a queen.
Yeah, yes, she is. Now, for the longevity of your career, obviously good health is part of that, and fitness, because being an artist is quite physically demanding. And I'm going somewhere with this, which is to ask you about the fact that you have done Pilates teacher training, and so you are now able to lead classes in this.
I know. Very exciting. You're all over things, Sophie. I only got back like last Monday from my teacher training. I fell in love with Pilates a few years ago, and truly, I think that I've always loved movement in that way. I've always loved yoga and mat Pilates, and reformer kind of come to my small town, and I was like, well, this is really cool. I also am a tall, tall girl, really tall, and I had terrible posture issues. And I really started learning that my body is my instrument, and if I don't look after it, it's not going to perform the way I need it to. And so I wanted to start looking after my body more, and I started getting into reformer probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, and I've just loved it for a long time. And I've been talking about doing my course for so long, but I just didn't believe in myself. Like, I think I've always just thought I was only good for performance and singing. Like, I've just always thought, "Ah, that's all I can do." But over the last couple of years, I started being like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can do this, because there is definitely a level of, like, it's like a little performance,
Yeah.
talking to your little audience, your little crowd, and for sure, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was spending like 4 hours a day learning anatomy. I never knew so much. I understand like planes of movement. I understand all this stuff I didn't even think I could understand. It goes to say, like, it goes to show you can teach an old dog new tricks because I just didn't even think I would ever study anything in my life. Like, I barely studied at school, but I did it. And like I said, I've really been actively changing and trying new things and breaking down barriers in my life in the last couple of years. And that's not just with my music; it's with my whole life. And I think I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I've been talking about this for so long. Like, just go do it. And I had the best week. The girls that I did the course with were so inspiring and amazing. And it was really cool to go into a room of 16 women and no one knows anything about each other. And we just were each other's cheerleaders. By the end of the week, everyone's following each other. They're like, we'll come to one of your shows when we're in Victoria. Like, we're buying each other's like jewelry from their like little businesses. It was just the best week. And I cannot wait to teach. I think that it is still all that connection. I think all my life, all of I ever wanted was to connect with people. And that's why I love music.
Mhm.
And I think that's why I will love being a teacher as well. Because there's a certain level of like love, you know. I want to be someone that makes you feel good and makes you leave a situation and go, oh, I feel better now. And whether that's at a gig or at a Pilates class, same thing to me.
Yeah, but it is. And I can tell you, as someone who has been a yoga teacher for many years, my intention is always that people leave the class feeling better than when they walk in. And it is performance, and it's holding a space, and it's telling a story, and that is absolutely what you do as a performing artist.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And we had a quick little conversation before we jumped onto the call. I would love to do my yoga as well. I think I still have a few demons that I need to battle within myself, back to the bygone stuff before I can do my yoga. But yeah, one day I will be the cliche. I'll be that musician. I have the guitar, have my hair's all crazy and curly, and I'll be teaching yoga. And you know what? I love that. Like, that's fun to me. That's cool.
Well, if it's any encouragement to you to not wait to do your yoga teacher training, many years ago when I was thinking about doing mine, there was a teacher called Rodney Yee, American teacher, very well known at the time, who was out. He knew my teacher. She brought him out. And still remember him saying he thought that he had to have it all sorted out before he became a yoga teacher. He's like, he thought he had to, like, all the problems. He's like, you don't, that's not how it goes. Because obviously, yeah, your students have things that are going on in their lives as well. And so there is no right time to start. And yes, it will be confronting, but I actually think no more confronting than being on stage performing for people who are looking right at you and you're telling your stories to them. So, yeah, I think you would probably intrinsically already know, Jade, what to do.
Oh, and I have the highest regard for yoga teachers. I just think that they're amazing. The space that they hold for their students is incredible. And I do really find that there is a through line with music and what that does for people. I've started teaching students this year as well. A lot of my students are under 12, like from the age of 7 to 12. And I'm really finding a new level. I mean, I've always just music's my whole identity, but I've really found a new appreciation for what music does to people's souls this year. I mean, like some of my students, they're literally 8 years old. Like, what am I going to do with them? They don't even know themselves yet. Like, they don't know their tone. We are just working on confidence and having a good time. And the way that the kids like just eat it up, and the parents are like, you are doing such wonders for their personal development. I was like, this is so cool. Like, music really is so powerful. And I've really enjoyed this year just growing with music in more ways than just singer-songwriter like Jade Gibson. um, I've really enjoyed like letting music come into my life in different ways and exploring what music means to me and what it can mean to others.
Well, Jade, I think that's a perfect note to end on. Because I'm sure we'll talk again at a certain point, especially if you consider doing yoga teacher training. But in the meantime, it's been so great to talk to you about various things, particularly your new song, Perfect Crime. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much, Sophie. I love, love, love having an interview with you. So I'll talk to you next time.
Great.